Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I'm finally back to host a show. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and I am joined by my illustrious co-host and well-travelled wrestling fan this weekend, Mr. Adam Cousins. Ads, how are you, mate? You've been to Cardiff and back. You went to see our Welsh friends.
I went to see the boys at Beers and Beatdowns. However, it was a Slam Master show, not a Carnage show, but guys there made me so welcome. Met Ace Austin from Impact Wrestling. Luna Blue was there, lovely as ever. Spent a lot of time with them. But yeah, Slam Masters, they made us feel so welcome. So we thank them for hospitality and just put on a great show. And I've said to the Carnage boys, we'll go and see a Carnage show next year. Yes. Danny's probably going to be back at some point, so we'll go when there is a Carnage show. But as you can see earlier on today, not only do we have a little to do with Mark True, the Greedy Souls are now on our backs.
What's going on there? We're not making any friends with these,
go in the bin.
People. I know we're going to have to start some sort of wrestling training soon. I don't know if I can take a bump, Ads. I'm hoping
my heart can take it.
I know. I'm hoping you're writing checks that you're asking cash here, bro. When I leave you alone with the Twitter for the day, I log on. I'm like, oh shit, what's he got us into now? But no, it's good to be back talking some wrestling, mate. I've been watching loads. I just haven't had much time to record. But before we get started with our very first NXT review for NXT No Mercy, we've had some stuff come in from fans or HTTB listeners and stuff wanting us to discuss a certain British promotion, mate. So why don't we get into that first?
Yeah, we'll get into that straight away. I mean, we don't really do a lot of British wrestling reviews because there is so many of them, and obviously, you know, we don't have the time to go and see every show. We could review the shows that we go to, perhaps, but we don't have the time. But there was Chris Sloan, who watches this show quite a lot, tweeted out. He wanted our thoughts on a couple of things, actually. The second part was the WWE releases. We'll get into that. I've had kind of a bit of feedback on it on shows, but we haven't really had a lot of your feedback on them. So we'll get onto that after. But the first bit that he wanted to talk about was a brand called 1PW. We say that we were blocked by him, by the way.
I saw that, mate. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you just kicked off when it was another feud we were starting, but then no, this one was real.
No. It was. I didn't even mention them by name, which was quite funny.
Yeah.
They were a promotion. They started off in the mid 2000s. They went bust. They come back. They went bust. They come back, and they come back again. I want to say last year, maybe the year before, and they booked a lot of talent. And the last show that they'd done, they hadn't paid a lot of their talent, and it was
right.
Will Ospreay gave the title up. He was saying, "I'm not going to," you know, he got his money in the end. Matt Cardona was booked and then said on Twitter, "Well, you haven't paid me my fee, so I'm not coming." And then he got paid his fee, so he come to the last show. Lots of stuff has gone on. They didn't pay the wrestlers. Robbie X was a wrestler in particular that wasn't paid, and he's one of our close friends on this show.
Good guy, so Robbie. Love him to death.
Yeah, he's one of the most likable guys in the business. I just turned around on Twitter and said, I don't know how anyone could not pay a wrestler. Didn't go mention a name, didn't mention anything. And then we got blocked. But
was that what got us blocked, was it?
That's what it was. Yeah, okay.
That's good for you, mate.
Yeah, could have been a lot worse. Worse. Anyway, long story short, they booked a show recently. Know Your Enemy was going to come up. They had booked a lot of American talents. They didn't really book in hardly any British talent. I think Martin Stone and Big F and Joe were probably one of the only two British talents they'd booked Cardona, they'd booked James Storm, and then they go bankrupt again.
Oh wow!
And it was really, he wanted to know what our thoughts on it. So I've done a bit of talking. So you can do some now for a bit and tell me what you think about that.
I mean, here's my, and this is just me giving my opinion, and we're just two dudes that record a podcast. We've made friends in the wrestling business, which is good, but this is just purely my opinion. I think everyone that starts a wrestling company, they always start with good intentions. I mean, you know, look, we done Buckle Up, and for us that was great. You know, we were two wrestling fans who got to co-host an event, and that was great. Have we had talks about doing things further down the line and about doing stuff involving wrestling? Yes. With things like 1PW, I think they start all this out with great intentions, you know, and it's all well and good. But like CJ said to us from Ignite, there's one thing wanting to book a show. There's another thing wanting to run it. We had a brief look when we hosted Buckle Up with Ignite Wrestling. So, you know, I think with 1PW, they start all these things, and I think they generally mean to do well. But where I don't agree with what's happened is, and I've seen what Robbie's mentioned on Twitter, Matt Cardona, who we've had on our show. We know he's a good dude, but you know, he's not going to, he said he's all about the Benjamins. He ain't going to work for free. Don't book talent if you already know that you can't afford to be. Matt Cardona is not going to be cheap.
10 grand.
Yeah, 10 grand when we spoke to him, because we were jesting on our podcast when we had him. Hey boys, you can get me over for Buckle Up, or 10 grand. No, Matt, and we laughed and joked with him, and he was like, he took it all in good jest. When you book someone like a Matt Cardona, when you book anyone like a Robbie X, you know what I mean? These guys are top end wrestlers. You know, you're not booking some bargain basement, and I don't mean to say any disrespect, someone that's just come out of wrestling school who would wrestle for £25. You know that these guys are going to want to be paid. So when you book these shows, bearing in mind what's gone on in the history of this company, you know that you're going to have to shell out a head. Cardona alone is going to have to shell out probably more than you spent on any show whatsoever. So my issue is, I think they've known how bad this company is for a while. You've only got to scroll through social media and see what people have been saying, and people that we've spoke to, people that we trust. You know what I mean? And like I said a minute ago, I don't think anyone starts out with any bad intentions. But when you're digging a hole, the one thing that you can do is be open and honest. We've all had troubles in our life where we've got into situations where we don't intend to get into them, but we got into them. The only thing that you can do is be honest. Will talent like it if they're maybe not getting paid with a menu? No. But at least you're not just hitting the block button on Twitter and completely ignoring them. Be open, be honest, say, look, we've done this. We can't afford to pay this. We hold our hands up. We shouldn't have done it. Let's come to an arrangement where we can pay some of your money. You know what I mean? And I know people have worked on shows that haven't been paid. So we're not talking about this show that was booked. I know for a fact that Robbie and a few others, he's been outspoken on social media about it. You know, not outspoken. He hasn't gone into details, but he said, look, I still haven't been paid for previous shows. So if you're already not paying wrestlers from months gone by, then who the hell is going to want to go? Why are you trying to book a Matt Cardona for $10,000? That's probably before he's had to fly over here. You're going to have to pay for that. He's not paying for his own flight. Nope. So we'll say, for argument's sake, £700 to fly over, give or take. I've just recently come back from the States. It's about 700 quid to get there and back. So there's 10 grand for him to come and wrestle. There's £700 for him to fly. You've got to put him up in an accommodation. Or while you're advertising this, you haven't paid wrestlers from a previous event that you've run. Come on, Adam, man. It's not, you don't have to be Albert Einstein to figure this one out, mate. They should never have booked it. They should I don't know who. The thing is, with wrestling companies, you can start them. It's not like you've got to go to company's house and register and all this. And it's not like the Premier League where you have to go through a proven proper test if you can run a company, if you can run a football club. People start, and unfortunately in the wrestling industry, and we're very fortunate when we speak to CJ about this at Ignite, he's told us that in the past he knows of people that have started wrestling companies and they've done exactly the same thing. With this particular company, it's on the high end scale because you're booking James Storm, you're booking a Matt Cardona, you're booking people that are known in the wrestling world worldwide. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Robbie X is known absolutely everywhere in this country and in the States. You're booking top end talent. This top end talent are not going to be cheap. So when you've already got yourself in the mud, doing this kind of thing to a Cardona, it's absolutely ridiculous, mate. But like you said, they've come and they've come back. In 6 months' time, if they try and come back, they've literally lost all credibility in the wrestling business. Once you lose that, you're done.
I'm going to end it so we get on to releases with just three little sentences. Well, not even 3 little sentences, just 3 little words. Thank you, fuck you, bye. And that's pretty much how we're going to end that part, because I've got nothing. If we don't pay you guys, you're not even worth living.
Yeah, if you don't pay wrestlers, you're not even worth it. You know what I mean? Someone asked us a question. They wanted us to answer it. We've answered it. So yeah, like you say, fuck you. See you later.
Yep. Now, releases. It happened a little while ago. WWE released quite a lot of talent. I think it was 21 talent releases.
Yeah.
Without sort of, I don't want to, again, mean this disrespectfully, because I know that we're in talks with a few of these guys. Was I really surprised with some of them? No. And it's not a disrespectful thing. It's they weren't doing really anything. There was never been on our screens for a while. So No, I wasn't respectful of them, all of them. Some of them were mid-storyline, for fuck's sake. So I was surprised with some. And there's some veterans that would be a good hand pretty much anywhere. So your Dolph Ziggler's, your Benjamins, and your Alexanders. I kind of had my say. Dave has had his, and now the floor, my friend, is all yours. Go.
I'm kind of with you and Dave, really, mate. Like you say, the Dolph Ziggler one wasn't really a surprise. And we know he's been into his stand-up comedy recently, and he's openly admitted that his time in wrestling was coming to an end. So sad to see him go, because I like to see someone like him stay in the industry. I know you guys are recording your AEW week review later on, you and Dave, and obviously you're going to speak about Edge and that, how he's going to benefit that company. I think someone like a Dolph Ziggler or a Shelton Benjamin, I'm hoping that they can stay within the wrestling industry, because what a person to have book your match, produce your match, get involved in creative, people that have been there, done it. I mean, we talk about this all the time, how me and you are very interested in that side of the business. Like I said earlier, we've seen a tiny snippet of it over here in the UK from what we see. When you take it to that scale of AEW and WWE, people like Dolph and Shelton Benjamin, they're the kind of people that you hope and pray that can, we'll say AEW for argument's sake, because they're gone from WWE. If I'm AEW, I'm ringing them going, yo, how much money do you want to come here and help us produce and book and help talent and, be involved? I'm not talking on screen if they didn't want to do that, because, I think their time may be not come and gone, but I think they'll be good as producers and backstage. I think they could still offer a little bit to the business on screen, especially Dolph and Shelton Benjamin. They're great wrestlers. I think the industry will benefit from keeping them inside the circle rather than letting them leave.
Yeah, I think there's been quite a push for Shelton in AEW.
Yeah, great booker. What he knows about wrestling, man. Imagine what he could do for the talent backstage. Creative. I mean, we talk all the time. I know you guys, and when you get into, I don't do a lot of the AEW stuff. I watch it, but I'm nowhere near up the level of you, Dave and Parker. They can benefit from someone like these guys backstage creatively. I mean, Tony Khan's doing it. Obviously, we know Dean Malenko's back there. They had William Regal in the past, now gone back to WWE. It can only benefit your business and your industry to have these great minds backstage. Like, I know you guys are going to speak about Edge when you do your AEW show. Having people like that in your company can only be good. So Ziggler, Shelton, we're using them as the prime example, but there's many more talents that have been let go that are probably, some of them are going to go to the indies. Things like Impact Wrestling. They should be jumping on people like this now. I mean, there was talk of CM Punk. If they can try and lure CM Punk to Impact, I still think he'll go back to WWE. But could you imagine a Dolph or a Shelton or any of these of that ilk? Exactly. Imagine that ilk in Impact. It will do what me and you always say. It will get eyes on your product. AEW have already done that with Edge. People, they're probably going to have their best rating in a long time for Dynamite this Wednesday. So could you imagine if a Dolph or a Shelton were advertised on an Impact and you got them in a storyline? You've got Santino Marella, they're already there. He's a great creative mind. You've got Trinity's already there on the women's side of it. So you can slowly get all these people around the table and go, right, let's build this from the ground up again. Let's get these good WWE guys that WWE's loss will be our gain kind of thing. So I'm hoping that they stay within the industry.
But quick one before we start Smackdown. There's another name that's been contracted, not WWE. It's Impact Wrestling. It was Sami Callihan, who are great.
I was shocked at that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't let it go. Let him go. Again, he's good friends with Mox. Oh, and by the way, just before we say when I go on the AEW, Moxley on commentary. You need to watch that. You need to.
Okay. Last night's we're recording this on a Monday, so yeah, last night's AEW show is on my list to watch today. I already know the end. Cheers, Parker. Thanks for putting that in the WhatsApp.
Yeah, thanks for
cheers, mate.
Yeah, I was
this morning. I was like, oh, great.
But anyway, Sami Callihan. My personal feelings with him, I'd love him to stay. Obviously, wants him to stay in wrestling. I don't think Callihan fits the WWE mold, and that's not because he's not good enough. It's just his character. He's got a great mind. Again, he's another one with a great mind, and you're talking about putting people with a great minds in like an AEW because they can help creatively, they can help book, they can do the wrestling side of it. Sami Callihan for me should be a shoo-in for AEW. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it should be a shoo-in. Or there's another certain promotion that you and Fiona review quite a lot.
Yes, the NWA.
Just gonna throw that out there, mate. They get not forgotten a lot, but they're doing good things now. I watch a fair bit now on YouTube, just so I can, when you and Fiona are doing your reviews, I understand what you're talking about. But yeah, it could be. But yeah, again, this can only, but at the minute we talk about WWE and AEW as the big two. And if AEW are really serious about kicking on what they're doing, and then now this new era and whatever is going on right now, get these people in your building, use them rightly. Don't just get them all there for the sake of getting them there. Get them there and then go, right, get around a table. You have ideas. You might have 100 ideas. If you can use 20 of them, you've done well.
Yeah, exactly that. I agree. And I think, maybe and then we go for Sami Callihan versus Garza the Gimp. I don't know. We'll have to see. What we'll do is we'll just overview SmackDown. We want to get to NXT. We want to get to that. Everyone's saying you've got to start reviewing NXT because it's so good. It's so good.
I'm really enjoying it.
I don't think there's going to be any arguments from either one of us on this.
I'm loving it.
Overview of SmackDown was really kind of a bit old school, really. It was Bloodline start, Bloodline end. But it obviously wasn't right. Roman is due back in 2 weeks.
I've heard that.
I'm assuming that
leading up to Saudi Arabia, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and also because it kind of makes sense. You've got Fastlane Saturday. He comes back the Friday. So my feeling is whatever.
I've got a feeling he'll be there Saturday.
He'll be there Saturday, but I think from my feeling is we'll get into the end in a minute that match is going to maybe be pivotal to what he does at Saudi Arabia. Maybe not. I know AJ Styles was linked with his match at Saudi Arabia with Roman, so maybe they'll do that. But yeah, it was a Bloodline start, Bloodline finish. Some interesting bits in between. We had the Street Profits fully. I think now it's full turn heel at the end. They were rated by Lashley. There was talk about them because he was on the Grayson Waller show. We're not going to go into it in too much detail, but he was on the Grayson Waller show. He basically challenged them. So if you want to be in this group, you got to show. You got to basically pull the trigger. And they did. They eventually did at the end. Well, not at the end of SmackDown, but parts of it.
Yep.
Cena didn't get a partner. He did. It ends up being LA Knight, who meant to be last week, but
because he was ill the week before. COVID
last week. But overall, what was your thought? I thought it was one of the better SmackDowns in the last few weeks. Have kind of dragged a little bit, but this week I thought it was a lot better. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you, mate. I thought SmackDown this week was really good, kind of old school, like what we kind of call old school SmackDown wrestling, WWE. Yeah. It's very Bloodline centric again, but you can kind of now see where they're going with. Obviously, you've got the pay-per-view this coming weekend. You can kind of now see where they're going with the match for Solo and Uso. Jimmy. I'm used to that. Jimmy and Solo Sikoa this week against John Cena, and I'm gonna guess LA Knight coming up this weekend. So you can kind of see where they're going. We've said it for weeks now. Why LA Knight's on fire. You need to push him. So what better way to have the Bloodline involved, John Cena involved, and you've got a big pay-per-view coming up, and you've got Roman Reigns coming back. So I think that could, and whatever happens on Saturday could segue into Saudi Arabia. Whatever's in Saudi Arabia will segue into Survivor Series. So I really enjoyed it, mate. I like what they're doing with it. I like where the US title thing's going as well.
That was a great match, by the way.
Awesome match. Like the backup, we'll call them the backup, and I'm just doing air quotes here for those watching on YouTube. The backup storylines are good. WWE generally is good at the minute. I'm really liking SmackDown. I'm really interested to see what they do this weekend, and I'm interested to see. I'm always weary of these Saudi Arabia shows. I still have nightmares about DX and Kane and the Undertaker and Goldberg, and I'm hoping they're not doing something really stupid leading up to Saudi. It doesn't look like they're going to. Cena's going to be in the main event. I'm going to get onto a rumor that I heard a little bit. Obviously, you do more of our HCTV Twitter than I do, but something that I've seen on Twitter regarding John Cena heading into next year is going to be interesting. So, it's all good, mate. It's all good.
And I'll have to say this before we go to NXT: Raw's match quality has been brilliant over the last.
Yeah, the wrestling in general in the last 2 weeks, mate, has been good. I've watched a lot of Dynamite. I just caught up with Collision today. It was okay. I haven't done the AEW pay-per-view from last night. Obviously, me and you sit here on Monday doing this. Obviously, I know the end, but I won't. Oh, actually, I've already said his name. So, yeah, I already know the end. Thank you again, Parker, for that. Putting that in the WhatsApp group. Spoiler. Edge is obviously now in AEW. So, yeah, Raw's good. SmackDown's good. NXT is absolutely, in my opinion, it's the best out of everything right now. In my opinion, NXT is absolutely what it used to be back in the day.
It is, and we're now going to start. Coincidentally, NXT goes head-to-head with Dynamite next week.
Does it?
It does.
Ooh, and I know Collision goes head to head with Smackdown in a couple of weeks and all, doesn't it?
Does, yeah.
It's not on the Saturday because of the college football.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens on that. But let's get into No Mercy. The opening, the fucking graphics at the start when it took you back.
The old school computer game. I had that game.
Oh, mate.
I'm old.
I'm old.
Would you have that on the N64?
Yeah. It was like what I said to Fiona, because we were talking about this sort of sideways segueing briefly to NWA. They have these like really short, and you've been watching, they have these short, like 30-second entrances. They don't go crazy. They just walk out, do a pose, and they're in the ring. So I said it was like at No Mercy on the N64. And then saw the opening to No Mercy and was like, this is great with all the new characters, obviously, that they've had on. So love that. And then, we say about starting match hot. Jesus, they started their match with an absolute fucking train wreck. Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. I've never seen that. Is Corbin got to be Corbin's best match I've ever seen,
hands down.
In WWE.
He's been good for NXT, and NXT's been good for him. We questioned a few times, why's Corbin gone back there? Why's Becky Lynch gone there? Seth Rollins rocked up with the title and had a title match on there, and we were like, hang on, what's going on here? You kind of now see why they're doing it, and it's gone from. It still is a little bit quote unquote developmental, but it's not. You think people like Bron Breakker, we'll use him as an example because we're talking about the first match. He's so past being developed, it's unbelievable. Yeah. He is an elite talent now. He's a really good wrestler. I'm just hoping we can get into it in a little bit, like when we all know what happens when they get called up to the main roster. Yeah. I'm hoping that they don't drop the ball like they kind of did when the Viking Raiders first come up. So when he was there, Enzo and Cass first come up, and I'm hoping that does that. But mate, what a start to a show! I caught up on No Mercy today. I've been super busy over the weekend. I've blitzed wrestling today. I thought that was one of the best opening matches I've seen in the last 2 years. I thought it was incredible. Me and you talk all the time. Start a show fast. You ain't starting much faster than that. When he come out on the bike and brilliant, love, absolutely. Wasn't too sure about the ending. Maybe is that because Breaker's getting called up, or is that the kind of that they had to end? It'll be interesting to see what happens on Raw and SmackDown and yada yada moving forward. But oh mate, what a match! Some of the things they were doing. The table spot at the start, when it didn't break, I was thinking, oh shit. And then when they eventually got to the main table spot where when he ran round, they done the old Braun Strowman run round, fucking picked him up, bang, dropped. That to me, that's wrestling. I love all that. The high end, they built it, and it wasn't like slow build. They had me hooked from the first bell. That's what wrestling should be. And mate, I absolutely loved it, mate. I don't know what you think.
Oh mate, I a bit like you. I was engrossed from minute one, second one, from bell to bell, basically, as they say in wrestling. But I agree with you. I think there's quite what has noted me more so out of this, and it'd be, as you say, it would make wrestling interesting, because I think this was one where you can now see maybe there's at least 3 on there that I think are being called up. Breaker.
Yeah, we can kind of get to where you can kind of guess the way that some of these matches went. It was the kind of thanks for doing what you've done for NXT. Raw and SmackDown are calling.
And funnily enough, they've got a women's breakout tournament starting at NXT this week. It might even be this week, actually. So there's, again, could bide into a few things. Cora Jade hasn't been seen since she's had a medical adjustment. I'm not giving away any details, but let's just say she's pumped up in some areas. And certainly ain't the arms.
Spending that money.
She's been spending the Benjamins. Maybe she'll be the next one to start on OnlyFans. I don't know if Braun Breaker will let her personally, but anyway, but she could be one. There's a couple of others, but yeah, Braun Breaker for me, as you say, he's well overdeveloped now. He was ready probably 12 months ago.
Yeah, me and you thought he was going to be called up, didn't we? We thought he was going to be on Raw after Mania, didn't we? And nothing.
But I think it's good if they do the call-ups, because again, we're talking about maybe a little refresh here and there. Maybe they should leave the NXT call-ups off of the draft and bring them on. Maybe I like the do you remember when I like the surprise ones they do? Do you remember when Kevin Owens come out with a title and fought Cena? No one had a fucking clue that was going to happen. No. That's where I enjoy wrestling even more, where you don't expect it. I know it's very hard now with all the dirt sheets. I get a text from you on a Monday afternoon and you might be like, oh, Andy so-and-so's backstage at Raw, and you're like, fucking hell, someone's, you know what I mean? Something that you'd want to be a great surprise. Half the world know because they've seen him enter in the building.
if they want to bring up a breaker, bring him up where you least expect it. Bring him up in somewhere and put him in a fast lane. Put him in a feud where you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens hit the ground running. He fucking picked on John Cena when he was the champion.
Yep.
Seth Rollins, when he come up, it was all the Shield come up together, and they were ended the pay-per-view, and they signed off that pay-per-view with the Shield absolutely demoralizing anyone. So bring Breaker in if you're going to do it as the badass that he's been in NXT. Don't fucking dumb him down. No. I don't get why they do that, because NXT, it's just on the same TV network that everyone else watches their WWE TV on. There's Peacock, there's Fox, there's everything over there.
Smackdown on there.
Yeah, there's nothing different from what NXT do and the way the talents are. Then they have to think, oh, when we bring these up to Raw and SmackDown, we've got to maybe dumb them down. No, it's just the same. What's the difference on a Wednesday night that is on a Monday night? Let them go. 100% right, mate.
Interesting one quickly as we talk about USA. There is a rumor going around. SmackDown will be 3 hours when it moves to USA because Raw is coming off of the USA, which could mean Raw goes 2 hours.
Dude, I've not got enough time to review these shows with you.
Well, it would just mean a reversal. Raw will be 2, SmackDown will be 3. I don't know. Well, it could be 3 hours on both. Just Raw will be on a different station. Raw could even be streaming on streaming service.
Dude, we better make this podcast last work, mate. So we need to start earning some money out of this if we're going to be reviewing all this wrestling. Mate. I haven't got my boss. My phone rings and I'm watching it at work. My answer, I'm like, "Hello." He's like, "You were watching wrestling, weren't you?" Yeah. It's kind of, but it'd be interesting, mate. I'm interested to see what happens there. I'd like Raw to go back to 2 hours, to be honest.
Yeah, so no, stick them both on 2 hours, keep them both there.
Perfect, yeah.
But anyway, Baron Corbin wins that match of end of days. That ends that. And you said, what happens to Braun Breaker? We'll see. Baron needs to stay where he is, in my opinion. But next match was one of the most surprising results of the night. The next was Dominik Mysterio. He was taking on Trick Williams, who was used to be with Carmelo Hayes. I mean, they're still togetherish, but they're going in different.
Did you see the end of the show? What they teased? I noticed it.
Yes. We'll get to that. Anyway, sorry, I've got to say, dirty Dominik Mysterio. We've got Big Bronson Reed, we've got dirty Dominik Mysterio. We've got sexual harassment Vince McMahon, but that hasn't come on telly yet.
Well, it's been on telly, but it's not allowed on telly anymore.
Not on telly anymore, yeah. And he was getting treated with Dragon Lee was the referee. Raw had Dominik Mysterio's best match. He had his best match on Raw against Dragon Lee last week. And this match was really good again. Really high, sort of really entertaining encounter. The surprise was Mysterio dropped the title.
Yeah. I now thinking about it, I think it was a good thing. I think what they wanted, and NXT for Dom has been great. We mentioned at the start of the show that they're not seen as developmental, but what they've done is they've given WWE a chance to put him down there for a little bit. And I say down there like it's a bad thing, like it's not down there. It's just how it's referenced to. They've put him on NXT. They've given him a title to give them a little look of saying, hey, look, how does this go when we give Dominik Mysterio a little bit of gold and, we get him a little bit more hated? What they've done is what they've done with NXT with Dominik, it's benefited him on Raw because it's got him even more hatred. It's got him, and you can talk about the mics being turned down, and we can talk about all that till the cows come home. That's by the by. They've been very clever with what they've done with Dominik Mysterio in NXT. He's had some 5-star banger matches down there.
Yeah.
Which there is again, it's probably WWE going, right, we think you can do it. But you're with the Judgment Day a lot of the time. Let's actually see if you can fly on your own without the Judgment Day. They put the title on him, they put him in great storylines, and now I'm guessing they've gone, yep, we trust this kid. Let's move him on to the next level. We don't need him in NXT. He's done the job. He's done what we needed of him. Will it be there might be a little rematch clause in there, but they'll probably put that on the main event on a Wednesday, and that'll be that. But yeah, I really liked it. So thinking back, because I remember texting you, I was like, oh, Dom's dropped, because you watched it before me, and you're like, yeah, interesting, that one. I kind of see now why they've done the whole last month and a half of him, 2 months in NXT. They've got what they wanted, got him to the level. Let's see what happens next.
And you got Rhea Ripley saying, "You're fucking kidding me" on Twitter.
Yeah, I know. She's brilliant.
Would want to beat Dominik when she gets back. Probably this
better outside the ring, and she's in it at the minute.
Just ask Buddy Matthews. Anyway,
Gonna get us kicked off the end.
We'll move on quickly, briefly. They've done 2 little vignettes at that point. One was the schism had broke up. So Dwayne Johnson's, The Rock's daughter's on her own now. Joe Gacy. Won't get into that. Then a vignette, and you said to me, "What was that vignette about?"
I literally, because it happened so quick, I was like, let me text Adam. I know you pay way more attention than I do. I've got too much going on in my life right now. And I was like, then you told me, and I was like, yes, I've got it. A certain Legends boy who AEW let go is going to be in WWE.
Yeah, it was a vignette. Basically, it was Cincinnati Bengals. There was a news report. There was WCW. I think it carried on a bit further on the NXT one. It's all based on Brian Pillman, so it's his son. Can't be interested to see what they've done with him. I wasn't sure about him in AEW. Will WWE move it on? Oh, and one quick one, because they're making such a big deal out of it, and I forgot to ask you, Jade Cargill. They're already making her into a megastar, and she's yet to debut for the company. Dave made a good point on the review the other week, and he said that he thinks that it suits Jade Cargill better being in the WWE. Some suit AEW better, some suit WWE better. Do you think she's going to be an absolute megastar in WWE?
She's in the big leagues now, bro. She's in the big leagues. I think she'll cost Becky the title at some stage. If they've got any sense, that's how I would do it. Because NXT isn't seen so much now as the developmental, and it's seen pretty much on the same as Raw and SmackDown. Maybe not quite there. They're probably grade A. NXT's probably like an A- or a B. If they've got any sense and they really want to get her in, don't put her in with like I know she's done the Twitter whole thing with the Charlotte Flair and all that.
Yeah,
have her cost Becky the title and put her and Becky in a match in an NXT ring in a main event of a pay-per-view. Bam, you're winning straight away. And just have it as a one-off, Matt. You can even put the title on Jade. Why not do what they did with Paige when she come into the WWF?
First
she won.
night.
AJ Lee beat her first night.
Yeah,
have some sort of you get a little tournament going, and you could always have someone gets injured before like that. Oh, they're not in the tournament now. We need a replacement. Wrestling fans are straight away going to go Jade Cargill. Have her come in, and don't just have her beat Becky Lynch. Have her fucking demoralize her. Like, if you want to turn her into this juggernaut, this superstar that she's probably going to be in WWE, have her absolutely demolish Becky Lynch in like 2 minutes and have her take the NXT title. That's what I would do. But yeah, mate, I think they're going to do. And I don't say big leagues. Jade said it. The thing is, I don't say big leagues as in to be derogatory to AEW. Every single wrestler, when you're a young kid or when you're growing up, you're going to want to wrestle for the WWF, WWE. So I don't mean that to put down AEW, but she's come up to the big leagues now, and I think she'll flourish. And I think and it's not a case of WWE going, "Oh, this is what you could have done with AEW." Sometimes I think Edge will have a great run in AEW. I think he's going to be fucking tremendous. Someone tweeted us today saying we're going to see the rated R version of Edge, and I agreed. I think we will. Jade Cargill's, I think we're going to see the best version of her, mate. So I can't wait. I just hope they don't just chuck her on a SmackDown or have her come at Saudi Arabia.
I don't think so.
Nah, have her come out and cost Becky Lynch the title and absolutely smash her to bits, and then you're printing money then.
I think that there's going to be a big hoo-ha about her debut. I think there's going to be a huge, massive when she joins. So we'll see. We'll move on quickly now. Fatal 4-way tag, isn't it? Tag team titles. Family, Tony, was it Tony? I remember his name now. I was going to say Tony Angelino, but that's
Tony Angelo crying.
Tony D'Angelo.
What a match that would have been.
Oh, mate, yeah. Tony D'Angelo and Stax Lorenzo. There was Diamond Mine. There was Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. There was Bronco and Lucien with scripts. This was crazy. This was all over the place in a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah,
good way. The family pick up the win on that, but my goodness, it was just an absolute brawl, really, wasn't it?
Tag team wrestling at its best, bro. That's all you can say about this. Like you say, it was all over the place, but you didn't have to be like, it wasn't like an Anarchy in the Arena kind of fucking thing where you're like, Jesus, they're there. Yeah, which way do you look? It was all where you wanted it to be. It was. They got everything in what 20 odd minutes or so, 25 minutes. It was, mate. I think the tag team wrestling in NXT is some of the best in WWE right now.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I know you've got like the Viking Raiders on Raw, and you've got the Usos, the New Day, that are kind of back together as a tag team, and but the NXT tag team division for me is the best in wrestling, and this match just proved what this whole show done. It just proved to everyone that how good NXT has gotten again, and that's full credit to Shawn Michaels. That's credit to, we don't know how much Triple H is doing anymore. Is he getting divorced? Is he involved in WWE that much
Getting
anymore?
divorced.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get divorced from Vince McMahon's daughter, you're pretty. Don't be
Not
surprised.
getting divorced.
He's not.
No.
Okay, I'm only saying.
I know. I've seen it, but he's not getting divorced.
Is he not?
No.
Did you text him?
I've got a direct line to Paul Levesque. He's not. Okay. But no, he's not getting divorced.
I haven't spoke to you for a while. You've been off with the old day. You've been saying with WWE. I'll be seeing you. I'll be like watching Raw one night and you'll rock out.
No, Kevin Nash has come out about that. Has already spoken.
Okay, that's good. I mean, it's Twitter being Twitter probably, mate. But like I said, I just heard. But yeah,
I heard the same thing.
The tag team match, mate. The ending was good. I know I did kind of mentioned already what's happening this Wednesday on NXT.
Mm-hmm.
The match itself was one of them, like we mentioned, the Corbin Breaker match. You're like, oh my god, this is brilliant. I love this spot. And again, it's why you become a wrestling fan. You don't want to be watching these kind of matches and going, oh, bathroom break. Not one match, and this actually one. We'll get to.
The next one.
I text you because you said to me there wasn't one bad match on this card, and I disagreed on one because it went on too long. But this match was incredible. The ending was good. I'm going to be interested to see where they go with the storyline. Absolutely loved it, mate. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and the family retained the titles, which was good.
Good finish as well, by the way. Good ending.
Yeah, it was a good finish. I kind of thought Diamond Mine might get it, but I'm glad that the family retained for now. Let's talk. It was the next match on the list, and it was Noam Darr versus Butch. It was Heritage Cup. It just kind of, you say, very light. I agree now. Kind of looking back on it and just
dragged.
It just dragged. It was long. It went 5 rounds because the Heritage Cup was all rounds, and you can lose, you get tap out, and all that stuff. Noam Darr retains the Heritage Cup with a 2-1 victory over Butch. But yeah, kind of agree you, mate. A little too long for my liking.
Yeah, I'm not really invested in the old Heritage Cup. I mean, I know they brought Butch back from SmackDown again, another one that's come down, and I don't mean that horribly. He's come down from SmackDown to NXT. Yeah, they got him away from that stupid storyline they were doing on SmackDown. Yeah, for me, mate, just too slow. I'm like, just have a match for the Heritage Cup. Don't have all these rounds. Get rid of all that crap. And then the 20-second break and the whole, I just didn't get it, mate. It's going to be interesting to see what they do now moving forward with Butch, because obviously he didn't win the Heritage Cup. Not that that's a big deal, is it really? Oh, I didn't win the Heritage Cup. Oh no, what will I do with myself? It's going to be. It's the only match on this card that I kind of disagreed with you when you messaged me going, great card. And obviously you watched it back, and things always, when you watch them back a second time, you're like, oh yeah. And I might hear you, Dave and Parker, talking about an AEW show. I'm like, oh, I didn't really agree with that. But then I watch it again, I'll be like, that's what they meant. So yeah, this one for me, just kind of slow, mate. And yeah, it's the only time when I thought, I might just go for a quick wee.
Yeah, it was. Maybe just because we're going to get into it. It was because of the next match, and we'll get into that right now. The first thing was there was a final pay-per-view of the year from NXT, which is Deadline. It's on December 9th. They've got a 2-week Halloween Havoc. Good old WCW pay-per-views came back.
That's one thing I love about NXT. Do you like it? The way they use all the old, what me and you are going to, people are going to go, oh, you old bastards. What with old school pay-per-views. Yeah, they do a lot of the WCW stuff. They do stuff that WWF, WWE have done. Yeah. I love that the fact that they pull out a No Mercy or a Great American Bash or a Halloween Havoc. That to me, I'm already hooked, because they're like what we kind of, and Parker's going to kill me for saying it. Oh, it's what you old man, what we grew up with. And I love the fact that these pay-per-views are still getting used in NXT.
Exactly that. I look forward to Halloween Havoc. I look forward to the end of the year, which is Deadline, which will be a good one. But my goodness, we get the good matches keep on coming. NXT World Championship. Ilja Dragunov, I think that's it. Ilja Dragunov, yes. And Carmelo Hayes. I don't think I've seen, this is including WrestleMania, a better title match, world title match, in any company this year than those two.
No? I agree. I was watching it. I was like, this. The first match they had
Brutal.
at Battle. No, was it? Was the last one they had at the pay per
They
view?
had one. I can't remember when it was. But
Yeah, so they had one already. Great American Bash. That was it.
there you go.
They had one at the Great American Bash. That was amazing. I didn't think they could top it. Carmelo getting the win there, but this. Sweet Jesus. If you ever just want to, if this is your first time watching wrestling and you're like me and you used to be back in the day and you're just getting involved in the product and you're like, oh, I want to check out this, watch that match.
Yeah.
That will get you hooked on wrestling. No pun intended. But dude, it was incredible. The ending was right. Again, what you said about call-ups earlier, is that now going to be another one? Is Carmelo going? But when you look at the end of the show, which we can talk about, the little glance to a certain title where he's going to turn on his friend. I think that's going to happen. Watch the end again. Watch literally the last 5 seconds of that show. He gives a little glance down. I don't know. Is that a backward step going for Dom's North American?
No, he's not North American anymore. Dom's not champion.
No, the old, the North American title. Is it a backward step for Carmelo because he gives a little glance down, and when and I was like, oh, I see where they're going with this. He's going to turn on his friend. Are they going to keep him in NXT for maybe to the pay per view in December? But the match itself was absolutely incredible from bell, like you said earlier, bell to bell. Dave Meltzer, he watched that. 10 out of 10, 20, 100 out of 100. That is one of the best matches. That's got to be a contender for match of the year.
Brian Alvarez, who's a stooge of Meltzer, as you know, but I agree with him for one. I don't really agree with them two, but he did say that was the most brutal world championship match and one of the best that he's seen. So we don't agree with those guys generally a lot, but I agree with that, and I think it's the best match of the year. After that, they did announce the women's breakout tournament. It's going to start this week. Gigi Dolan and Blair Davenport will have their match on NXT this week, and Butch and Tyler Bate will go against Gallus.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be some good matches lined up. Women's breakout tournament is, I don't know. I know some of these are pretty big on the indie scene in America, so I forgive me for not knowing a lot about these, but Lola Vice, Jakira Jackson, Kalini Jordan, Danny Palmer, Ariana Grace, who's the name that rings a bell.
I've got a feeling some of these girls, the documentary on Netflix?
Yeah, wrestling.
I recognise one of them from, I have to go back and watch it again. I'm pretty sure one of them was on the Also documentary.
Okay. Carmen Petrovic, Jola Parker, and Izzy Dawn will be participating in that tournament. So we'll see that begins this week as well. So it'd be interesting. My first look at those. So we'll have we might as well just review bloody NXT at some point and just start doing it, even if it's just one of us. But we'll have to do it. We'll try and fit it in at some point. Anyway,
make 26 hours in a day or something. I don't
know. Last match, main event.
Yes.
Lynch, Stratton, street fight. And we talk about tribalism a little bit. I've got to say this because I get really fucked off, right? They were criticizing the AEW fans. We're criticizing the fact that they use Barbie dolls pieces instead of thumbtacks, right? Here's the thing. Number one, they have no fucking clue about the storyline. Tiffany Stratton is NXT's Barbie.
Yeah,
right?
It's been going on for weeks now.
Number two,
Becky.
Okay, I'm sorry they used Barbie doll pieces, but you laughed and said that it was great when Jericho got pushed into some orange juice. You laughed when Adam Cole and MJF were beating the shit out of inflatable toys.
Yeah. Look, it's tribalism when it suits certain people's narratives. It's tribalism.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's okay. And I put a tweet out earlier about Edge on the HCT Buckle Twitter saying, look, just it's good. It's good for wrestling.
Yeah.
And tribalism, it's there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, God, I referenced the big leagues earlier, but to me, WWE always will be the big leagues. It's why we all watch wrestling. If it wasn't for WWE, WWF, none of us would be doing this.
Yeah,
they always will be the big leagues. But yeah, I mean, the match itself, the whole thing, when everyone thought that the thumbtacks were coming out, they didn't. Becky brought out the broken Barbies, but again, it comes if you haven't watched NXT in the last month, 2 months, you're not gonna have a clue what's going on.
Yeah.
If you're just a casual fan of NXT, that has been her gimmick for since she's been there. Really, she's been the Barbie of NXT. But I thought it was brilliant, mate. I absolutely fucking love this match. Becky did she got injured halfway through it quite badly.
Big lasso.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
going to be
arm,
interesting to see how that affects her moving forward.
She's
You
got
could
Tegan
see as
Knox,
well. Yeah, she has to fight Tegan
she
Knox. I don't know
also
if,
saved Tiffany Stratton from a
yeah,
serious bit
yeah,
from the table.
with the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you notice the bit with the steps when Tiffany lifted Becky and she had to pivot because Becky said to her, "Don't drop me on my elbow."
Yeah,
And you could see her land.
yeah.
So, and fair play to Tiffany Stratton. She carried she had to carry a little bit of that match to the end.
Yeah.
And I was really watching it, and you could see Becky was telling her what to do. Don't get me wrong, but Stratton still had to carry 15 minutes of that match to get to the finish. And mate, she's an incredible talent, by the way. She's the Barbie. She in ring stuff is really good. That little some backflippy thing through the side of the the ring announcers where they timekeep a bit was really good. The table spots, the swanton bomb off the top rope.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, man! If Jeff Hardy had done that back in the day, everyone would be like, "Oh my god, it's an amazing spot." But because it's maybe her and she doesn't get the credit she deserves, these two tore the house down, mate. What a way to end a show! To me, it's kind of what me and you talked about months ago, where we want to see the women's wrestling go and the women's division. Again, I go back to what I say earlier. Watch that match, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and she finished it with a manhandle slam onto a pile of chairs.
Yes, good finish.
Did you mention at the end of that there was that Carmelo Hayes trick?
Backstage as it was going off the air, he kind of looked at the North American title, and I don't know if they're going to kind of let him have a run at that. Obviously against his buddy. If you watch it, just literally watch the last 10 seconds. He glances down at the title and he gives it a pat when they're hugging. I reckon that's where they could be going if they don't call him up to the main roster.
If they don't, maybe that was a good buy, but who knows? Who knows? But that was NXT. What a show they put on. I mean, it's been good for weeks on the TV.
I've absolutely, mate. Honestly, I look forward to Thursdays getting home. I watch Dynamite, and I know I have to because I know you guys review it, and if I want to listen to my own show, I need to understand what's going on. But yeah, I really do look forward to watching NXT on a Thursday. I think it's good. If Raw go like that, 2 hours it's the perfect amount of time for a wrestling show, in my opinion. I get why these 3-hour shows are out there, like a Smackdown and things like that. 2 hours is bang on for NXT. I wish we could get the picture-in-picture because they always say it, don't they, on TNT Sport? We're going to picture-in-picture now. We don't get it. That's what I like about watching Dynamite on Fight TV. No adverts.
Exactly. That's why I like watching it on other channels.
That's why the NXT needs to be good on WWE Network, didn't it? But even now, is that what 2 weeks behind on the network now? I haven't really. Obviously it's great for the pay-per-views we get, but mate, I'm glad we got to sit down and talk some NXT, mate, because I'm absolutely loving it now.
Yeah, we can't go into too much about interviews coming up because they're not signed yet. But let's just say, I think I'm pretty confident to say that we will soon be announcing the biggest, and I mean name
ever
on the show. We can't even give you a clue because it wouldn't be right we're not there yet.
No, we're not going to do a Dave and put up like the diamond car.
we can't do anything because it wouldn't be fair. Because we're not at the signing point yet where we've got a date lined up and stuff like that. But suffice to say, it will be the biggest name in the podcast history that we've got. And I cannot wait to make the announcement when it's there. But if you go and check socials, we have just announced a turnbuckle title match for.
My phone has been flashing like a good one while we've been recording this.
So I put our video. We announced Smashing Mike will take on the Chris Ridgway for it's Mike's first defense of the turnbuckle title. He's going against Chris Ridgway, who is an absolute superstar over in Japan. What a way to put our first defense on.
At least it ain't Mark True.
Don't.
Ain't that little weasel. Mate, great announcement, mate. It's just come on my phone now. It's gonna be really good to see where the hitting the turnbuckle title, what Ignite do with it, where it goes. What a great person to have Smashing Mike. Incredible, mate. Really, I can't wait for November the 12th. I missed the last show, so I had other commitments. Can't wait to be back with Team Buckle. Ignite Wrestling, November the 12th. Come down to Bournemouth. If you haven't got a ticket yet, get them. I think front row's all gone. Second row is available. Go to Ignite on.
Just
Twitter.
go to Eventbrite and put in 96.
Type in Ignite, type in Ignite Wrestling. Honestly, you will not regret it, and you get to meet me and Adam.
Oh, I mean that is. And
what more do you want?
Dave and Rachel, they'll all be there as well.
And Dave, you know what I mean?
And Daddy Dave.
Oh
Dave,
my
Dave.
God, the whole crew. We might even fly Parker. No, we won't fly.
No, we won't fly. Fiona's confirmed for Buckle Up next year. Fiona will be a Buckle Up.
Yes, Fiona will be back. What a legend. A woman's an absolute legend. But yeah, no, all good things happening, mate. Good things happening.
Good things happening, yeah.
We've got, obviously, you have our Raw review coming up this week. You and I are going to be recording that tomorrow, I believe. We're going to be sitting down and chatting about Raw. You guys are doing some great work with AEW. You
double NWA one to do.
Double NWA. So that's honestly, I don't know. My boss is going to, I'm start worrying that I'm not going to do any work soon. I'm just sitting in my lorry just watching wrestling. He's like, why are you starting at 5 a.m., Andy? Well, I need to be done by 12 because I've got about 7 hours of wrestling to watch. But no, yeah, we've got some great things coming up. Like I say, go and check us out at HTT Buckle on, I'm still calling it Twitter. I heard someone call it X the other day or something.
Yeah, that's it now, X.
Go and check us out on Twitter. Instagram, Hitting the Turnbuckle. Rach done an absolute great job this weekend down with the old Sheep Shaggers. Did a great job. The boys, the Beards and Beatdown's going to kill me for that. It's a joke. Yeah, go and check us out on Instagram. Just type in Hitting the Turnbuckle. You can find us on Facebook. Just type in Hitting the Turnbuckle. The YouTube channel, by the way, ads is fucking flying now, mate. Doing great things. Big shout out to you, by the way, mate. I've been away for the last week and stuff, doing great things, mate. Honestly, super. What you've done for this podcast is second to none, mate. I'm going to say this live on air. You are absolutely fucking amazing at what you do, mate. Keep doing it. I know you've had some issues going on with your health. Glad to see you back healthy, mate. Absolutely killing it. You, Dave Parker, smashing it out of the park. I'm just glad to contribute every now and again.
It's always good to have you on.
It is, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We'll be back. Apparently, we're doing more NXT next week, according to Adam over there. We're doing some more. Check us out then. But till then, everybody, buckle down. Stay safe.